Hello guys, today we are going to talk about the female reproductive cycle, which is very important to understand the embryology chapter. It forms the basis for the embryology. So let's start. The hypothalamus is mainly controlled by the limbic system, and the hypothalamus is called as the master switchboard of the brain. Master switchboard of the brain. Since it acts like a switch to switch on and off of the pituitary gland, and the pituitary gland is called as the master gland of the brain. So you have to remember this one. Master switchboard is hypothalamus and master gland is called as the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland will release two hormones named FSH and LH, which stands for follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormones, which will work on ovaries, which will lead to the cycle of the reproduction. Okay, so this is the brain and I have taken a picture here. So this is called as the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus mainly releases gonadotropin releasing hormone, which will act on the posterior pituitary, which will ultimately release FSH and LH. So this is the pituitary stalk here, and this one is posterior pituitary. You have to remember this one. The two hormones released from the posterior pituitary are FSH and LH. So what happens in the hypothalamus we are going to see now. As you can see, this is the hypothalamus, and here in the hypothalamus, so this is the hypothalamus. So in the hypothalamus there is a arc. You can see this is the arc. It is shaped like an arc, so it is called as arcuate nucleus, and this arcuate nucleus projects some neurons. So these are the neurons, and these are the neurons from which gonadotropin releasing hormone goes into the blood vessels here, and from these blood vessels they travel into the posterior pituitary and release LH and FSH. LH and FSH. Okay. So what does the LH and the FSH does to the ovaries? We will see in the next slide. Okay, here. So before going to the cycle, so what is considered as a normal menstrual cycle? So a normal menstrual cycle is considered as 28 days. If it is less than 21 days, it is called as oligomenorrhea. Oligomenorrhea. And if it is greater than 35 days, it is called as polymenorrhea. Okay, so the average is nearly 28 days. You should remember this one since many pathologies are related to this one. Okay, so what happens once the FSH and LH reaches the ovaries? So this is called as the primordial follicle. So what does the primordial follicle consist of? So this mainly consists of two types of cells. One is the oocyte in the middle, where the sperm will finally attach, and these are flat. As you can see, the cells are very flat, not circle, they are flat. Sorry for my poor drawing. Okay, so these are flat type of follicular cells. And without any stimulation, there is no stimulation like FSH and LH here, no stimulation. Okay, 15 of the primordial follicles will enter into the reproductive cycle, nearly 15 without any stimulation, and they are converted into primary follicles. Here you can see there are oocytes, primary oocyte, and here you can see these cells are mainly cuboidal type, and these are two layers most of the time. Okay, the primary follicle, the primordial follicle consists of flat type of cells, and the primary follicle consists of cuboidal cells. You can see these are the cubes here. Okay, so the primary follicles in the presence of follicle stimulating hormone released from the pituitary gland. So you can see primary follicles are converted into secondary follicles by follicle. Okay, you should remember this, follicle stimulating hormone. It is not the luteinizing hormone, it is a follicle stimulating hormone which converts primary follicle into secondary follicles. Okay, so as you can see, this is a secondary follicle. The main importance here is the presence of zona pellucida. What is the importance of zona pellucida? Zona pellucida is mainly consist of glycoproteins. Okay, you remember this one, it is mainly consist of glycoproteins. It is released by the oocytes to protect from polyspermia. It means once a sperm enters this ovum, only one, it lets the only one sperm to enter the oocyte. Okay, remember that one, and prevents multiple sperm from entering. That is the main function of zona pellucida. Okay, so what is this layer and what is this layer? Okay, as you can see, what are these? So this one here, it is the granulosa cells. Okay, the granulosa cells in primary follicles, you can see it is cuboidals and it is two layers. So these two layers, one layer is here, this one, and one layer is this one. They get separated by this air filled lacunae. Okay, air filled lacunae, and they get surrounded by like this. Okay, so as you can see, this one is the oocyte, this one is zona pellucida, the pink one. These are the granulosa layers. Okay, the outer granulosa layer and the inner granulosa layer, and the space here is called as follicular antrum. Okay, remember this one, follicular. Okay, once it is formed, I'll make a clear diagram now. Okay, wait. So how does it look like? After the secondary follicle, it takes a meiotic division and it gets converted into primordial follicle. Okay, oh sorry, I mean the Graafian follicle. So this is the oocyte. Oocyte is surrounded by which layer? It is surrounded by zona pellucida. Okay, wait, let me check. Okay, oocyte is followed by zona pellucida, and zona pellucida is followed by two layers of granularis. Okay, granulosa cells. One is this one and one is this one. In the presence of that one, we also get an additional layer known as the theca layer. This is the theca layer. Okay, so I will label them. The red one here is the oocyte, the pink one is zona pellucida, this is the inner part of zona. This is the inner layer of granulosa cells, and this is the outer layer of granulosa cells. Okay, inner layer of granulosa cells, outer layer of granulosa cells, and these are called as the theca cells. What is the importance of theca cells? Okay, we will see here. Okay, theca cells mainly produces male hormones called as androgens, and these androgens are sent to the granulosa cells. Okay, granulosa cells, and in granulosa cells they are converted into estrogen. What is the function of estrogen? The function of estrogen is mainly endometrial proliferation, so that a baby can be formed there. Okay, endometrial proliferation. So estrogen is the one which will stimulate the endometrial proliferation. Remember that one. So from the quizzes from my Instagram, please follow me on my Instagram if you are not following. Okay, cells of the primordial follicle is lined by, okay, primordial follicles is the flat type. Okay, remember that one. Flat types of cells are seen in primordial follicles. Primary follicles are mainly cuboidal. The hormone which induces endometrial proliferation, it is the estrogen. Remember, the granulosa cells are stimulated by the theca cells. In theca cells you can find androgens, which are the male hormones. So the theca cells send the males to the females, which is granulosa. Girls, GG. Okay, remember that one. Granulosa cells, the female hormones are formed, which is estrogen. Okay, principal hormones released by arcuate neurons. Okay, in arcuate neurons it is not FSH, it is arcuate neuron is found in the hypothalamus region. So it is not FSH and LH. This is found in pituitary, not in hypothalamus. So the principal hormone is mainly gonadotropin releasing hormone. So this one is the right answer. Androgens are released by which layer of the ovum? Okay, it is not like granulosa cells. Granulosa cells mainly release estrogen. Okay, androgens is theca. Androgens. Okay, androgens are converted into estrogens by which cells? Okay, androgens are formed in theca cells, and they are converted into estrogen in mainly granulosa cells. So remember that one. Cells of primary follicle. Primary follicle are mainly cuboidal. Primary, you have to remember this one. This one is very important. Primordial follicle without any stimulation get converted into primary follicle. Okay, here the cells are mainly flat type, and here they are mainly cuboidal. Primary follicles are converted into secondary follicles by, okay, this is primary follicles converted into secondary follicles. Okay, it is in the presence of follicle stimulating hormone. Remember, follicles, primary follicles are converted into follicles by follicular stimulating hormone. Layer which prevents polyspermy in ovum, it is zona pellucida. Remember the oocyte, then followed by zona pellucida, then by granulosa cells. Okay, normal menstrual cycle is, it is not, okay, it is 21 to 35 days. Okay, it is not 28, 22 to 20. Normal is 21 to 35, average is 28 days. Okay, arcuate neurons emerge into posterior pituitary. in anterior pituitary, the main hormones released are oxytocin and one more hormone. So remember, only posterior pituitary you will find LSH and RH, LSH and FH, FSH and LH. Okay, FSH and LH releasing hormones are present in arcuate nucleus. Okay, those neurons emerge from the arcuate nucleus, not the pituitary gland. Hypothalamus is controlled by, okay, it's the limbic system. The limbic system followed by hypothalamus, followed by pituitary, followed by ovaries. Master switchboard. Okay, master switchboard is the hypothalamus. Okay, it acts as a switch. It switch on the pituitary gland and switch off the pituitary gland, so it is called a switchboard of the brain. So thank you, and please subscribe if you like the video, and do follow me on Instagram on Dr. Science. Thank you.